look, maybe I said it wrong. Maybe authenticity is actually destroying everyone. Maybe being too real is destroying everyone's relationships. This is more common in the States. In America, we have free speech. It's a big thing. We think we can just say anything. Before I get into that rant, though, I did want to talk about when you are authentic, like you've been authentic before, and this happens. So a toddler is in the store, his mom's checking out, and he sees the candy bar, and he's, I want the candy bar. Let me have the candy bar. Da, 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 da. And like the mom's like, nah, and she's embarrassed, but the kid is not embarrassed. The kid authentically just wants the candy bar, right? But let's say, even in some shops, if the kid walked out with the candy bar, the shop owner might even be like, cute kid, whatever. He can have the candy bar. At least he's being quiet now, But if you're authentic now, as you get older, and you're like, hey, I really just want this PlayStation. I'm just gonna go with it. I really want it. I really want this PlayStation, so I'm just gonna go. That's a whole other problem. You got a whole world of problems. Even though you authentically really want that PlayStation, walking out the door with it, probably not such a good idea. And the reason it isn't a good idea is because of accepted social contracts or social boundaries. And online, there are other social boundaries that you should not cross, even if you are being quote unquote authentic. The way to avoid this, because it's true, like whenever a thought comes to your mind and you express it, it feels real, it feels more real. And so when you see somebody else expressing from a real place where their thoughts are just coming through, they're basically channeling like the best version of themselves, and the thoughts are coming through and everything is working out. And so you definitely, as a creator, want that to happen all the time, especially when you're on camera. Because if you don't do this, then you don't want to be the C word, the canceled word. You don't want that to happen. So let me explain how you can be authentic, but also stay within the bounds, the gray areas of social acceptability. Also, I just sent out a newsletter about this. And hold on, I'll tell you about how to get on the newsletter in a bit. Just hold on, because I've got a really great free resource for you, and it will also help with this whole being authentic bit. Okay, so I get it sounds completely inauthentic to say, mold your desires and thoughts to be more socially acceptable. But if you can modify your message to convince someone else of your beliefs, ideas, desires over time, then it's way more impactful than having them dismiss you outright. Because, everybody has that friend or a friend of a friend that comes in and says something to a group of other friends. Oh, that's just Joe. Just put him in the corner or whatever. Like he's, everybody just kind of avoids Joe for the rest of the night. So you don't want to be that person. But if Joe came in and he had a strategy, how to convince people of his thinking or what he's thinking or why people should change their behavior in a certain way, then Joe might just have a shot being socially acceptable. Besides, he'd be pushing boundaries and creating a conversation instead of being ostracized or kicked out of the group. I mean, I've done this before. I thought it was being funny, but a friend of mine, a coworker, one time, a long time ago, a coworker said something about me hitting on his girlfriend. And in what I thought was okay, joking manner, said something completely inappropriate. I thought we were closer than we were, but we were in a social setting. And so what I said was completely out of pocket. So I paid a heavy price for that. And before I knew it, I was down on the ground, like very dizzy, almost knocked out, and just surprised at what was even happening. But in retrospect, it was all my fault, minus him actually hitting me. But based on what I said, like the words themselves alone, without the joking inflection, then I probably deserved it. And so this is why you can't just speak the thoughts that come to your head. Well, you can. This is why speaking your thoughts that just come to your head, it can still be authentic. But it cannot be good because you don't want these types of thoughts coming into your head. So instead of just deleting the thought or modifying it or trying to be self-censoring, my strategy for changing this is actually just adding, is like planning out, okay, if I was in the scenario again, what would I say this time? Who am I? It's the whole creating your ideal avatar situation, personal avatar, like the avatar of you. Who are you? Who are you? What are your thoughts? What do you want to be? You have to crystallize your sense of self. There are two ways that I found to do this. One is doing video diaries, which you don't have to post. You can just record and then watch back the next day. Or two, writing. And I like to do actually both. So this, in a way, is like a video diary. But once you start creating content, you can use that as your visual feedback loop and use the writing as another method of crystallizing your sense of self. So the more you do this, the more you start to crystallize your thoughts by writing, doing video diaries. And if you want to know more about that, this is the moment where I mention getting the ideal avatar. worksheet. And it's not your marketing ideal avatar. It's your avatar, your persona. Who are you trying to be? You fill out this worksheet. It's in the book. So if you have the book, something is not wrong with you. You already have this worksheet. But if you don't have the book, you can still get the worksheet by downloading the free chapters in the link in the description. So I want everybody to have those questions and begin the process of figuring out who it is that you want to become, who it is that you want to show the world, who it is that you want to be. So start to crystallize that by answering the questions. Between all of these things, your mind starts to receive better thoughts. So the thoughts about making jokes about somebody's girlfriend, those don't tend to come into your mind as much as the ones that you've been writing down, you've been spending time with. You get more thoughts that are similar to that. And then when they come to your mind, you can speak them authentically because they're just coming in and you know more of what to say because they're just flowing through you. And you automatically sound more authentic, less incongruent, less contradictory, and more believable. This is obviously what you want. This is the way that you want to communicate. It also becomes way easier to talk. It's way easier to talk on video once you have written all of these things down. You go back and reread it. It just starts to sink into your brain. That's exactly what I'm doing with this podcast and why I'm able to deliver these ideas in a more succinct way than I would have been able to previously. So by writing down even stories that you want to share, this will prevent you from oversharing. So in the example where I was talking about getting basically in a fight, I didn't actually share the words that I said because that would be oversharing and it would make me look bad because it was not great. And also the degree to which I was hurt. Basically, I had a concussion for 2 weeks. I was like barely able to go to work or function at all. So if I had talked about that, it might have kind of turned you off and like made you not want to listen to me. In fact, I'm somewhat regretting even saying it right now, but I just wanted to illustrate the point. You don't want to get graphic with your stories, even if it's a trauma or like a bad thing that happened to you. You don't want to get too graphic. You know, authentically have the gist there of the thing that actually happened, but you don't want to say too much of something that would otherwise turn people off. And the way to do that, like I said, write the story you want to tell, then tell it. Say the story on camera in a personal video diary, then watch it back. And if you cringe from your own story, you've said too much. You're not being honest. You're just saying too much. You're not being authentic. You're saying too much. It's just oversharing. So let's just pretend like you took all this advice, you went and you practiced this, and then you decided you wanted to share a story. But now you're just frozen because you're afraid of judgment of other people on social media. And I 100% get that. I'm still somewhat in this boat because you don't want that negative ostracization to happen when you start posting to social media. But the point of all of this is that you become more resilient. When you start writing your own stories down, you remember all the struggles you've been through. You realize that you've overcome them. And so you build this internal resilience that makes other people's comments seem like, I just got a really bad comment on the Get Songs Done channel. Like somebody was like, this music is terrible. Why would you use this as a demo in a video? And it's like, it's a demo in a video. It's just music I made in like 5 minutes. See, you saw me, like I made it live in the video. So it's like, what do you mean? But they were really upset. The music wasn't good. And I'm just like, it was okay. It wasn't that bad. Like 30 people liked it and one person disliked it. I don't understand what the problem is. But he was really offended by the sound of my music. And yeah, and it may actually be bad, but for whatever reason, it doesn't hurt my feelings. These comments actually would have used to hurt my feelings. But now that I've put out a bunch of music or done a bunch of the thing that I said I wanted to do, then it doesn't hurt my feelings. It's the same with the judgment. Once you start doing this, you do it over and over, then the judgment becomes less and less. Unfortunately, it won't hurt you more at first. And as you go, you'll ask yourself the question, do you want to keep going? Do you want to keep creating content? Do you want to keep creating art? Do you want to make something? Do you want to be a maker? Do you want to be a creator? And if you do, then you'll have no choice. It doesn't matter what other people are saying. Maybe take it as feedback or constructive criticism, but 9 times out of 10, people are just, they don't get it. They don't get what you're trying to do. If you tell even your best friend who's not a content creator, hey, I'm really into this and I want to talk about this on a video, and they won't get it. They don't understand it. They don't, like, it's just part of their brain understands content creation because they consume content all day, every day. But the other part of their brain from a creator point of view is it's a completely different mindset. And at some point you have to be okay with it. You have to be okay with judgment and with it somehow not mattering. And like I said, I still struggle with this to some degree, but now I'm starting to get the receipts. Now I have more and more evidence that my message is well received and is beginning to make an impact with people in my space. So a lot of times you'll see like these like content hacks for like how to grow your channels or how to grow your profile or how to make your content go viral. And it's by copying trends or hijacking a content style or somebody else's fame or somebody else's news or memes. Do you want to become a meme or a meme channel? Like, I don't think you want to be a meme or a meme channel. And so in that case, while you might get more eyeballs making that type of content, if you can't see yourself making that kind of content for years to come, then it's a big no in my book. And there are ways to create content that is not necessarily so niche. Like sometimes you may actually want to make new content commenting on a thing that has gone viral or that is more popular. The way to do that in an authentic way is by doing some of this process, like really thinking about what you want to say before you say it, and then go live, then do the thing. And when those real thoughts come through in the moment, they'll be more focused. They'll be more similar to what you wrote down. They'll come through clearer. So it's all about becoming who you are, who you want to be. So when you walk into the store and you want the PlayStation, instead of going in and complaining or walking out with the PlayStation and the alarm going off, it's more about becoming the kind of person that can walk in and purchase the PlayStation and not sweat it. It's more about that. And if you even want to write down, hey, I want to be the kind of person that can just buy a PlayStation with no problem, that's a small, maybe vision boardy kind of thing to do, but it definitely will help crystallize your thoughts about how to get a PlayStation. This is new for me because in order to be persuasive, there's certain language that you should use. But if people are not even listening to the language that you're using, then they click off or leave, and you can't even be persuasive. So on another level, you have to be persuasive enough to get people to keep watching or listening to then deliver a persuasive message underneath all of that. So it feels very layered and nuanced. Okay, if you can, there's a book by Robert Dilts called Sleight of Mouth. And it's like the very manipulative side of NLP. So if you're curious about words and language that can influence people, check out that book. I'll add that link to the description as well. It's an older book, but it definitely has some structures in there that you can use that will help you to get your message to go into the minds of other people. It's like I said before, if you have kind of outrageous ideas or ideas that push social boundaries, then you want to use this type of language in order to influence people so that they understand where you're coming from. But to even use this language, you have to do a couple of other things as far as social media is concerned for them to keep listening to you. These are even like more subtle manipulations that we are experiencing all the time. And if we don't experience these manipulations, that's actually why we stop watching a Netflix show or stop watching a video, because they didn't trigger our emotions. They didn't trigger our sense of curiosity enough to even want to keep watching. So that is something I'm learning about myself and trying to implement more and more in my content. So if you want your content to resonate, like as far as watch time and those kinds of things, you have to have some kind of intention and an obstacle and stakes. So you can literally use this 3-part formula that I got from AJ, and it works like a charm. If you can use this plus the sleight of mouth language, I feel like your content could go very far. The sleight of mouth is like a textbook, so it's a lot. Honestly, it's past time for me to reread it because there are a lot of kind of high-level concepts in there. Leave a comment if you've ever been too authentic, and let me know if you have a story similar to that where you said too much. Maybe you were a little too honest. And then maybe things went a little sideways. I'm curious to hear some of your stories. And I don't want to say all of it or all the details, but just let me know a little bit. That'll be fun. And then make sure if you're on YouTube, up next, there'll be another episode. And if you're listening on the podcast player, there should be another episode out now or coming soon, or just go back and watch the first couple.